time for another Ace Attorney stream. I had my second coronavirus vaccination a couple of days ago. And I'm ready to get back to it. Just finished chapter 2. And we're on to chapter 3, where presumably we have a trial in England for some reason. Yeah. I'm not going to talk too much other than to just get on with it. So, let's go. Check that the stream as intended. There we go, and yeah. Been a couple of days since I launched the game. Haven't seen the intro yet either, so I'll be quiet for that.
Glancing over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident,
I believe that perhaps that case was indeed
the prelude, the beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together.
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure. I suppose you're visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome to the centre of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital, London.
This is a rather ominous room. What an incredible place! It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating. This place is breathtaking. It's like a fortress. There's some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course. They've only been built a few short decades since we opened our borders to the outside world. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? far cry from the wooden paper most of our buildings are constructed from. It's certainly unfamiliar. But I think there's more to the differences than just the construction materials. Is this supposed to be the inside of Big Ben? No, it's not. Why is there a clock face? What is this place again? This is the Lord Chief Justice's office, Naruhodo-san. It's in the Supreme Court of Great Britain. The Lord Chief Justice. We had instructions to report here at this time. If circumstances were different, we're supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we'd arrived from Japan. But Kazuma can't. No. So instead, we are here in a different capacity, as envoys to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death. Yes. And having delivered his or her message, an envoy's duty is done. So we'd have to return to Japan. We want to remain here in Great Britain. I have to take Kazuma's place as the law student selected for the study tour. Yes, which means you'd need the requisite qualifications as a lawyer. I mean, Kazuma didn't have qualifications either. Which is what I've been studying for. Here in Great Britain, it's the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. So that's the second reason why we're here. To have you officially recognized as a lawyer. It's the only way we'll be able to remain here in London. I hope I'm up to scratch. Ah, good morning. Sorry for keeping you. Oh! I trust you aren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan. It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes and 47 seconds late. My apologies. Oh, no, don't mention it. We're never happier than when we're standing around with nothing much to do. How fortunate. So, introductions. I am Mayor Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. I feel like a little mouse under an elephant's foot. Come on, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't be a mouse. Oh, it's an honor to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Yes, thank you. Armband. Lord Strongheart, may I show you this? Fuck off. To accept this item, issue a receipt, examine it thoroughly, and make a formal statement of my findings. Would require something in the region of 24 seconds of my time. Oh. He values his time, I see. Sorry? Does the item warrant 24 seconds of my time, Mr. Naruhodo? Let's leave it for now. Wait, I can examine it. Of course. The lawyer's name is embroidered on the inside here, look. Kazuma Asogi. This was his band, of course. Well, it's not like the Englishman will be able to read it anyway. He had his heart set on this study tour in Great Britain. I'm sure he would have found the truth he longed for here. But he lost his life before he even had the chance to see the place. I have such a strong sense of his hopes and dreams when I look at this armband, though. I feel like now that I'm in London, I have to try harder to make them sound foreign. But whatever. These are the scales of justice. They're a symbol of the defense, aren't they? Yes, that's right. These scales are the symbol of fairness, to show that all are treated equally in the eyes of the law. And they're a warning to those who enter the courtroom without an impartial mind. But if they're the mark of the defense, it would be more auspicious if they were weighing more heavily on the not guilty side, I think. Very impartial, I'm sure. What the hell? There's 3 halves to this room? That makes it 3.5 rooms. Just look at all the naughty books packed together on these shelves. They go from floor to ceiling. And they're all books you couldn't hope to come by in Japan. It's like a dream. Yes, a very bad dream. They're not all about British law either. There are books about judicial systems of other Western nations. France, Germany, Spain, Holland. What about Russia? Why do you ask? I was wondering about asking the Lord Chief Justice how to say wardrobe in Russian. What do you think? Garderobe. Didn't he say it during the case? I think perhaps it's a thought best abandoned. Is this some kind of clock? Actually, I think we might be inside some kind of giant clock. Those gears are larger than anything you'd find on a steam locomotive even. It's eerie. Do you think clocks are some sort of hobby of his? The Lord Chief Justice, I mean. Well, boys do enjoy fiddling around with machines, don't they? I'm not sure you could fiddle with cogs that size, and I'm certain you couldn't call him a boy. Still, it's amazing how little noise the cogs make, considering how large they are. There's actually something quite soothing about their precise rhythm. Look at these menacing metal giants facing each other across the room. I believe they're suits of armor. Oh, right. I thought maybe they were like the lion dogs we have in Japan, guarding the shrine gate. No, not at all. In fact, in Europe, suits of armor like these are always possessed by evil spirits, you know? And they roam around in the middle of the night. Really? Is there nothing you don't know, Miss Susato? This book tells me everything I need to know about everything. If you're ever unsure, just ask. Where did she get that incredible tome? This must be the Lord Chief Justice's desk. I believe it's made of marble. It looks almost like an over-the-top tombstone that's toppled over to me. I think that your fanciful imagination is at work again, Mr. Naruhodo. Feels like everything that's normally made of wood and paper at home is made of bricks and stone here. I know. That's why this place feels so overbearing, I'm sure. Okay, and it's symmetrical. Did I seriously not swap the keys like I was supposed to? Key config. Wait, what happened to my other key changes? Backspace is still there. I changed that one. I want to save this. Yes. That's better. Oh, that's annoying, actually. Because I kind of wanted it so that in the evidence that's rotate. Rather than this being rotate. Okay. Alright, time to talk to this dude, and I've forgot his voice already. So, what? No. So, what's your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London? Help. I've been so nervous ever since I got here that I can't remember a single thing about the city. It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? We had a wonderful view of London's great streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say I'm almost lost for words. I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water, and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearhead every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded. Oh yes, astounded is the word. Thanks for saving me there, Susato-san. Everyone is so jolly and full of vigor. Yes, there is much excitement about the upcoming Great Exhibition we will be hosting here in London. Great Exhibition? Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history, and will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop. Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be. Great Britain's capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is the centre of the modern world. If you do say so yourself. The sun will never set on our great empire. Perhaps it's fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun. Lord Chief Justice, I think you were expecting a student of law with a study tour, weren't you? Absolutely. Mr. Kazuma Asogi, if my memory serves. That's right. The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand that the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores. That's amazing. The news reached him before even we arrived. My country naturally extends our deepest condolences to yours. Oh, thank you. And you honoured this appointment specifically to inform me of the news? Yes. We are here in the capital of envoys, in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person. They tell me these Japanese people are people of protocol and courtesy, and I see it's true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of the young lawyer means this study tour arrangement can no longer proceed. If you would just hear us out, Lord Strongheart. What do you have to say, madam? It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal. Would he now? Well, Mr. Naruhodo. This is it then. The moment of truth. I'm a little bit nervous about this. The thing is, Lord Justice, Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead? Don't misunderstand me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead. But without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done. Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean. Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country, and that was Mr. Asogi. At least that's what I've been led to understand. Well, the thing is, this really isn't going well at all. I just can't seem to find the right words to say to this man. Mr. Naruhodo! Could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I going to say? If there is someone else from Japan who could be described as a lawyer, it's... I kind of want to know what happens if you say this wrong. Okay. One moment. I'm going to see if there is... I'm going to see what the secret achievement for episode 3 is. Because that will save me playing through the whole game again to get my... Okay, milliner responsible for the victims. Ha. Okay, but I kind of want to see it anyway. I don't want to take the piss though. It's only been 40 days since Kazuma died. And yes, I've studied as hard as I possibly could. But can I really stand before this terrifying man and claim that I can do the job? Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. Of course only one lawyer. I'm not sure if I can stand before this terrifying woman and claim that I can't. I'll end up upside down on the floor if I do that. Not that I'm scared of a Susato takedown, obviously. But still, perhaps I should change my answer. It's me. I can do it. Is that so? I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but... No qualifications, you say? And yet you still claim to be a lawyer. I have acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once, and as it happens, I had Kazuma to help me, and I was the accused, but glossing over the details. I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learnt all about British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Burya. The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training. I realise it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan. Kazuma, Mr. Asogi's journey had only just begun. Coming here on this study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set me. Just one chance. That's all I'm asking you for. Please. Onegaishimasu. 31 seconds. Sorry? Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo. It was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted. A perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in good stead as a lawyer. Oh, thanks. So, you're willing to put those words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment. Huh? Let me ask you one thing first, sir. Yes? You say you intend to do everything Mr. Asogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path? Well, yes. That's my intention. I see. I imagining things? Did his expression just alter a fraction there all of a sudden? This is the secret special task that Asogi was sent on, I guess. Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you. Really? And of course, because this is a video game, I'm not going to have you sit a 2-hour exam in a crowded study hall. I'll just give you some trivial test. So, what form will the test take exactly? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what you consider the role of a lawyer to be. Well, defending people, of course. Well said. So, let's have you defend someone. Uh-huh. Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet. This is clever. Because we just had a whole case of investigation. Pacing-wise, it makes sense that we don't now have to go through a whole nother investigation. That's very cool. No advocate has been appointed for the defense as yet, so this will be welcome news. Today? Straight away? If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you'll have passed my test. What could be simpler? I'm just going to give you an impossible fucking trial. Ugh, how am I getting myself into these situations? Well, could I ask, what sort of trial is it, Mr. Strongheart? Or Lord Strongheart? Yes, a good question. Ah, I remember. It's a murder trial. Of course, because it has to be a murder trial, every single chapter. A murder? An extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose. That's easy to say. But I should mention, just in case, if the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sentenced to capital punishment. Capital punishment? He'll be put to death. Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Presumably you read that much in your short sea-based introduction to British law. We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life. I am the Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable. But you can't do that, can you? There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose. So the defendant may live or die depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, I'll be hanged. Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would like to understand how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen. He's testing my resolve. What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. Answer, because this is not the North. I need an answer from you now. What's it to be? Do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test? No. Right then, if I have to give you a decision now, my answer is I can't do it. I can't get the words out. 15 seconds? Your decision-making needs work if you want to be a lawyer. That was too slow. I'll take that as a yes. So, it's as I suspected, is it? Sorry? You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through. The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your ticket for passage back to the Far East tomorrow. This conversation is over. Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance. Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry, Miss Shisato, but what could I do? It's all right, I understand. You do. It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. But resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it. Maybe it would have been the same either way. What are you trying to say, madam? I think what Miss Shisato means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognised as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by cheating his one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel the exact same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment. A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice. Wait, Mr. Naruhodo! Oh, was there something else? It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time. But I just said that I was quite serious in what I told you. The defendant in this case has literally no one to advocate for him. What? At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome. He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down. That's awful. But that is the truth. Why does it have to be like this? Please don't expect an answer to every question. The cold, hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now with a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you. I'm really his only hope. I think I actually picked the right choice there. Like, morally speaking. So, what do you say now, madam? Me? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, and I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve. Oh. Our time is up here. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves. Yeah, the fact that he's just so obsessed with time. That's sort of relevant in the Victorian time as the sort of mass everywhere is clocks sort of thing was then, right? Every factory had a clock, and they set the wrong time so that they could just call all the working class people late. Time, yeah. Time is very Victorian. He's gone! The Old Bailey. If we're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once. To Why is everything now examinable again? Susato, can I just ask you something? Careful! From this position, I can perform a Susato takedown in an instant. I know. Mr. Naruhodo, you heard Lord Strongheart. The trial starts imminently. I need to throw you, I will. No, you could just say, I think we should hurry to the courtroom. If you need to ask me anything, it had better wait until we're at the Old Bailey. Susato, can I just... Gonna be the same, right? Yeah. The oppressive air is really quite stifling. We must hurry to the Old Bailey. I wish it would say the year here, right? 18th of February. Must be either 1900 or 1901. If it was like the idea that it... No. The game is advertised as set in Victorian England, so it can't be 1902. Oh, thank goodness! We're here in time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins. I never knew about a horse-drawn carriage could... I never knew a horse-drawn carriage could go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose. Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver, and there's a guinea in it for you. It's one of my favourite lines from Herlock Sholmes' stories, and it worked quite perfectly. I'm not sure why you're so pleased. I thought we were going to die, and we had to pay gold for the privilege. Well, at least we arrived here before the trial started. Yes, I suppose there's that. Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said the defendant should be here. But there's no sign of him at all. So this is the Old Bailey. Even this room for the defendants to wait in is grand. Are you all right, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding that I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. An oppressive air, almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever is about to be sentenced. It feels like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed. Yeah. I do wish that those sort of like big gaps of time between events in game were like elaborated upon, made a bit clearer, just to give the world a bit more fullness, so it's not just like bits of what happens. Yes, whoever the man is here you're to defend is, I imagine he's very alone at the moment. Of course he's Irish. Top of the morning to you, madam, sir. What are you doing, following me here? Things are fair desperate, aren't they? At least I don't have to do another London voice. Sorry. Would you look at these expressionless faces? What, from the East, are yous? We're from Japan, yes. Ah, Japan, is it? Right, say no more. So, how much do yous need? No, we're just here because... No need to explain, fella. I've been there myself, so I have. No place to go, nothing to eat, barely a penny to your name, and and all while in a strange, faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no. 'Tis grand, 'tis... How did I manage to accidentally go into the London voice? Howdy. 'Tis grand, 'tis grand. Hard to say grand in that accent. Maybe I'm just bad at it. Let me start by giving you 1,000 guineas. Say nothing now. 1,000 guineas? Please, Miss Susato, you don't have to shout. But 1,000 guineas is... It's enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo. What? There's nothing to me at all. I like to ensure that I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, you see. I have enough wealth to buy the entire city of London or 2 or 3 times over. That much rain even fall in one day. And even so, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Ah, that hit me in the eye. Don't get it wrong. Don't get me wrong, fella. I'm not giving it to you, no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me. Oh. To be honest, it's a little embarrassing. The trial is about to begin, you see. It's for me good self here. I'll be in the deck. So now, what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Top of the morning to you. Officially, you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh well, the thing is, don't worry about a thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me, nothing more. Otherwise, you see, the trial is going to start without me having any kind of representation at all. So it was true. The Lord Chief Justice wasn't just making it all up. Why would no one defend this strange little Irishman? I'm terribly sorry to have to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial? Master in blazes! Do yous not know who I am? Me, one of London's biggest names. Is he not meant to be Irish? He said top of the morning to you. I'm not stopping it. No, sorry. We've only just arrived in the city, you see. I see. I suppose it ain't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park there in the central London is another beautiful park. Sorry, a park? What? It is called McGilded Park. All the blossoming flowers in the spring and singing birds and whatnot. I donated to the city, so I did. An entire park in central London. Let me try and say that line again. An entire park. No. A city of smiles. That's my vision for London. There's nothing Magnus McGilded wouldn't do for the city and its square old people. That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. Ah, but now they've the gall to say I'm a gut for nothing criminal. Me, Magnus McGilded. What's the matter with the London police, I ask you? All right, don't pass out. Mr. Naruhodo, perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves while the gentleman catches his breath. Good idea. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students on a study tour from Japan, you see. So, if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands, we'll do our best. What was I after saying, you daft idiot? I've given you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I? Well, yes, but I wasn't really offering to just stand up there next to you. Oh, I think I see what's going on here. Sorry? I know what you're thinking. This Chancellor of a fellow claims to have more money than the Queen. But if that's true, why the blazes can't he hire the finest lawyer in all of England? Because he did it. That's the only explanation. Well... Exactly. I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, exactly. What now? Well, like you said, if you had all that money, but you don't have anyone to represent you in court, there's no other logical conclusion than you're guilty of the charges. Well, you call a spade in the East, so you do. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean any offence. I still can't express myself very well in English, you see. And I'm never sure what's acceptable to say and what isn't, so... Is that so? Because you sounded fluent enough when you were telling me what a blackguard I must be. I'm terribly sorry. I can't say that I blame you for thinking it, fella. It is a little strange, to be honest. Why you don't have a lawyer, I mean. That would be the fault of the Reaper. You had a lawyer and he died? Aye, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey. Oh, the prosecutor. Oh, I don't know what... the Nipponese or I can do that voice. I'm not going to go full Edgeworth voice, but... Aye, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey, Lord Baruch van Zykes. He's the prosecutor. The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper. When Van Zykes stands for the prosecution, they call his accused the sacrificial lambs. And to this day, in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. What? So it's reached that desperate situation where there's no one willing to stand there in defence against the fella at all. You could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey. Goodness, Lord Baruch von Zykes must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor then. Talented isn't the word you're looking for, madam. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth? The defendant is summoned, and his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. The trial is about to begin. His counsel? That would be me. Oh, 'tis time. Well then, fella, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened. Until you showed your face here, I'd made up me mind, so I had. Sorry? I decided I'd have to defend myself in there. How would that have worked? But then you made an appearance. A student of law, wouldn't you know? There's no accident, I can assure you that. 'Tis fate. So don't get cold feet now, please. I literally know nothing about the case, or about this man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I do know is that I can't just turn my back on him. Mr. Naruhodo, this man has no one. He'll have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes, something that Casimir never would have allowed to happen. Counsel for the defense, what are you doing? If you're late for the start of the trial, you'll lose your right to stand. I'll be right there. Dun, run, da, da, da. Is this the suspense music? Because they play it a lot and it's suspenseful. My first trial in a British court. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma, because I have no idea how I'm going to manage this. So our goal is to get an extra day of investigation. Because there's no way it's a one-day trial. Again, like, I'm sorry. 10 AM. The Old Bailey courtroom. Ooh, I have to do British judge voice. And there's the jury. So this is the highest court in Great Britain. The Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different to the Supreme Court in Japan. It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair. May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, what? Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again. Oh, I know, but I just can't help it. I love this judge already. I haven't even... Oh, yes. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, Okay. Confirmation that Queen Victoria is still alive. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare the court to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared. That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld. Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English? Huh? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready. I couldn't be further from ready if I tried. Okay, I'm gonna use his trailer quote to prime his voice each time. The Nipponese are a fascinating breed. Those eyes please me, Nipponese. They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb. A cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tip of my toes. Now, Mr. McGilded. Yes, my lord. You stand accused of murder, a capital offence. You could be sent away to the gallows if found guilty. No, you're right, Santa. No big problem there. Are you sure that you wish to entrust your defence to this foreigner? As I've always said, my lord, 'tis a grand thing to give opportunities to the young. Even if the feller is a student from some little island off in the Far East. As if this isn't some little island off in the West. It's not the British way to ignore the dangers of yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance. I'd like to think the acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud. It seems as though everybody in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilded. That's definitely welcome news, and he certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him. I'm glad to not have the curse of Mr. Right and Mr. Justice in the future. It seems I get the good defendants. Although I bet the evidence against him will be just as bullshit as always. Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed? Yes, my lord. If the task was to send rotters to the gallows where they belong, I'm more than ready.
At the manor, his lordship always said we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree.
Ha! Any criminals here will soon be wishing they had never set eyes on me. I'm just a drunker, Jesse. Probably. I feel the chill. I don't know what. I'm gonna be the drawer from up north, you see.
Oh, don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with me knitting. Must finish these mitts for me grandson.
I love it. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, these people are... The jury, yes. That's something we don't have in Japan yet. That's right. I've only ever read about it. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes sentence according to the law. Jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 completely different points of view. But how exactly did the jurors give their verdict? That I don't know, but I'm sure it will become clear as the trial progresses. Yes.
Prosecutor Van Zykes?
My lord.
It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounced your fame.
I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. Yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity.
So, what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstance which the court should be aware?
I leave that to your imagination, my lord. So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Maybe he won't be as overpowered as most of the stupid prosecutors in the previous games. Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback? Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruhodo.
As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please.
Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this case is of overwhelming simplicity. Must be the only ones in here who aren't aware. The incident took place in the late evening. 3 days has passed. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks known in the community as 3 Fried Mason. Sorry? Thrice fried.
He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fried were said to be almost indestructible.
The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London at the time. A dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard.
Thank you, counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence.
Okay, I actually have to play the video game now. Video game gameplay. And one further item of evidence. Prosecution wishes to submit these as well.
And these are... Good Lord! Is that blood, counsel? Blood.
What the hell is the southern syllable of ooh?
Blood? It's not blood.
No.
Blood? Is that blood, counsel?
Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested. What? Mr. McGilded's gloves had blood on them. Well, I mean, I held a gun in my hand, and that didn't mean anything. Sure, maybe he just touched the victim. Or the splash landed on his gloves.
Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well.
How did I get into this? Dun dun dun. Bryce Fried Mason, 54 years of age, brickmaker. 10 to 11 p.m, 15th of February. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife whilst journeying on an omnibus. So a single stab, died due to internal hemorrhaging resulting from the trauma. It's a single page autopsy, that's nice. Wait, is there maybe a hint in there? Died due to internal hemorrhaging resulting from the trauma. Doesn't say about instance, or like instant death. Internal hemorrhaging. It probably wasn't instant then. Because it doesn't say he died of shock. Is that? It's like, oh, a button! A button is missing. I magnified on just the right thing there. His hat looks fine. And they have a colour photography! They have colour cameras in Great Britain! Wow, what a marvel of technology. I bet Naruhodo is going to make some comment about that. But, no, that's just nothing. The old Scotland Yard wouldn't have missed any clues on here, right? How do I move the cursor with the mouse? I'll double click. Can't find anything out of place. It's just the blood then. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Well, nothing will come of the grumbling now. No. By the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed? Yes, I believe so. He was toying with a coin in his right hand a little earlier. Ah, pity. If only he'd been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. There isn't blood on the handle of the knife. See? How did I get into this? I'm backed into a corner before I've even started. Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers travelling inside his vehicle at the time. Only 2? Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGilded.
Well, rather damning circumstances, to say the least. Defendant, what say you?
Well, of course, I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGilded. To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it.
Are you claiming to have been asleep?
'Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Lilting, so it is. And when I opened me eyes again, was a desperate sight before me. The body of a man who had never laid eyes on before in my life. Now I ask yous,
What good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? So I reached out to give the man a hand.
So the blood got onto the gloves then, after the man had been killed. Unfortunately, the statement of the drivers is only the beginning. What? It's not all of it. There were multiple witnesses. Well, I said that before he said it, because we read the chapter opening, and I just... wow. To the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed.
Order! Oh.
You know what? Just for a laugh, I'm gonna give him the old member for Buckinghamshire, Speaker of the House of Commons order.
Order! Order! Order!
I think that'll just add to it.
Order! Order!
Like a tick, just saying
Order! Order!
When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage. There were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused. Why would you kill somebody in such a stupidly obvious circumstance?
Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we'll hear the testimony from these witnesses, first of all.
You know what, actually that voice is easier than the I think that we'll... That voice is easier because it doesn't kill my throat. Please, your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses at once. He's wearing gloves. Witnesses, your names and occupations.
My name is...
Anytime I see someone cold, I just want to give them the northern voice, because, like, he's cold.
My name is... well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus to the East End, in the East End. Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city.
My name's Fur. No. I've got to keep it simple for witnesses, because they aren't, like, big characters, and they just get too confused. My name's... No. I want to give him a high-pitched London voice, like, high-pitched man London voice.
Oh, welcome to London. My name's First. Lady First. I, make hats for gents. So... this is the third witness. I'm a banker.
That's the second witness. No, I've already forgotten the first one. Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in an omnibus and a witness to the aforementioned incident. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Quite right.
Yes, sir. Right, sir. That's right, sir.
Very well, then.
No.
Very well, then. Let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well. The victim... no, I'm a banker. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Then, out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed. I did. Couldn't help it.
As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped me bus, and then I saw it too. Unambiguous testimony, I must say.
Okay, if they saw him... Okay. He claims he was sleeping, and we always have to believe our mad lad. The Irish mad lad, we have to believe him. So... They must have saw him when he was feeling the dead victim already.
Unambiguous testimony, I would say.
Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. I'm giving him a slightly monotonous voice so that he doesn't seem too emotional. Yes. The Nipponese. There we go. I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, Counsel.
Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes? Well, in that case, how could those two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of a moving carriage. I hope there's going to be more of these culture shock moments. They're pretty good. How quaint. I've read that civilization in the Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own. You're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses? That's better. Giving him a monotonous voice is so much better, I think. And it's kind of unique as well. Huh? Tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you ever even travelled in an omnibus? Well, no. Well, we, only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves. The actual scene of the crime, that is. What do you mean? The actual scene? How? The carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you can understand that much. Yes. The omnibus in which the bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building. Here? What? The entire carriage? Bailiff, bring forth the stricken omnibus. This is a bit theatrical. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and can carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin, and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architecture and sights are to be had from the top of an omnibus. I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing for a view of the interior from the seats above. Ah, a skylight! Oh! The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on this omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight. Ugh, that makes perfect sense.
Well, Counsel, this is a first. In all my years at the bench, I've never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom.
There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish. Wait, his wig sort of fell backwards earlier when he was surprised.
Very well, I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
I can't believe it! The entire crime scene entered as evidence. Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary. I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here. Hint, hint, the first contradiction is because of the omnibus. That was absolutely impeccable. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp inside the closed cabin, so I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see it quite clearly. That's not good for us. So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up there. So people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them. And they have to pay money to do so. I can't imagine how cold it must feel. That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around in the city in the freezing cold as a punishment? Perhaps that is the real price you pay to stay out late. Jobmasters, London's head office. Okay, that's just that. Oh, sorry. Oh, fuck. Is that an extra seat on the front? Yeah, it is. That's weird. Excuse me? Game, come on, game. Come on. And even in the Japanese version, it would be the same. Because, wow. Because of course in the Japanese version of the game, he's Ryuichi Naruhodo. Oh, come off it. Alright. Nothing down the bottom here. Anything around the sides? Yes. Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? Ugh, the scene of a murder. It's horrible. Curved door. I'm not sure that's relevant. The drawer underneath. This seat has a handle, it seems. This is important. This looks like all sorts of equipment that had been needed to keep the omnibus running. Feeding tubs, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure. But there is a hiding space for a potential killer. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. It's the same. Ah, that's a poster for the Great Exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. Why does it have the Eiffel Tower on it? There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. The Crystal Tower isn't a real thing, right? I have to look this up now, because there's no way I'm that dense, right? There's no way that I'm not that, unless it's been destroyed. And the Japanese might not know what the Crystal Tower is. Surely an Englishman in the future knows exactly what it is. Crystal Palace, glass and iron exhibition hall in Hyde Park, London, that housed the Great Exhibition of 1851. Okay, well, we've took some liberty with the time in this game, and it's actually 19. They did say it's the 20th century, yeah. The turn of the century, yeah. Structure was taken down and rebuilt 1852 to 54 at Sydenham Hill, now in the borough of Bromley, at which site it survived until 1936. Okay, so I'm not dense. It doesn't exist anymore. Very interesting that they used a real landmark though. It means it has plot armor, because there's no way there's like... Maybe it doesn't have plot armor. Maybe it will be blown up or something. The centerpiece of the whole exposition. Oh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event. Can I examine the seat itself? No. The door. It's just a door, Mr. Naruhodo. Why do you care? Have you seen enough? Let's step back outside then. Oh, fuck. Ah, that's a poster for the Great Exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Okay. The bloodstain... Sure, it's like under the abdomen, but... That's blood that's soaked into the seat. The victims, obviously. Yes, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. There, I can speak. Deck. Roof deck! Would you really stab someone in full view of the other passengers like that, I wonder? Well, it was after dark, and there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. Whichever way you look at it, doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. Really? That's a strange comment. Oh. The seat looks reasonably soft, but it's rather hard when you sit on it. And only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side, really. That's funny that they actually just... like... We're in the courtroom, and they literally just walked in. And we've been standing in here for like 5 minutes. Of course, an English gentlewoman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here. A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? And even in the 21st century, I heard they don't even have pockets. Truly. A nightmare for anyone wearing them.
Let us continue with proceedings, then. Your cross-examination, counsel.
Pray don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights. All right, my first cross-examination in the British court. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus. Ooh. The, tinted windows? No, they have a name, don't they, when they have a design on them? Like the church ones. I can't think.
Oh, it was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
Oh, I've already read the testimonies. Someone there again.
Hold it!
Hold it! Yes, I think it was some time after 10, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. That's right, sir. Yes, it was ever so cold it was, sir. Freezing, in fact.
I forgot about this. And you had 4 passengers on board at the time. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right, sir. Not all travelling in the same part of the bus, of course, though. No.
Maybe somebody got off earlier.
And there were no other passengers when the incident took place. No one alighted, for example. You're quite right, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none.
So nobody fled the scene of the crime then?
I have to say, the boss insists on it running, he does, every evening, the last bus of the day. I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spend that much at the pub on the way home, just trying to warm up again.
I'm a banker. I'm a banker. Yes, I'm a banker in London. The victim and the man accused, blah blah blah. Hold it! You saw them through the skylight in the roof of the carriage? That's right, when you sit up on the top deck, the window's right there at your feet. Why is he looking to the side? There was a lamp on inside, so I had pretty good view. The 2 of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. There's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGilded. How can you be so sure? Well, how can I put it politely? Mr. McGilded is a gentleman of rather small stature. I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else. Let's not forget that when the vehicle came to a halt, the Nipponese, there we go, only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGilded. No room for doubt here. The trick to doing his voice is to grit your teeth. I really wish there was room for doubt. Then, out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts. Hold it! You actually saw the exact moment it happened? Didn't I already testify to that? Why would you be looking down through the window? Or are a fair dinkum hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days? No, I didn't mean that. This is no good. Really got his back up. Perhaps you could just tell me what you saw in a little more detail, and... I already forgot the juror's voice.
Me lord. Juror number 3. What is the meaning of this? Your mind is made up, me lord. Completely and utterly made up.
Made up about what?
I don't like the stinking rich, never have. They're always up to something other than what they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. There's no point in wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. Oh, that is precisely what I was about to say. As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors. Fellow jurors.
Wait, there's that. Did I make two northern jurors? What is happening here? see. Ah, yes. It seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one, they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean? Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Ugh, I'm even more worried than I was before.
Very well. The court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
This is a nightmare. Wait, there's actually a disadvantage to pressing. Holy fuck. That's crazy. That's crazy. Will you take, like, damage if you... Dude, is that a mechanic? If all 6 of them say guilty, you get a penalty. Because there's no way that ends the trial, let's be honest, because they can't. That's madness. That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed I did. I couldn't help it.
Hold it!
Hold it! He stabbed him, you say? You were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. Bitch, he looks nothing like him. Right? Okay. Sure. You can't see his hat or his face. But how do you know? These two seem like they know each other just because they look similar, right? He probably takes the same bus home each day. He's a brickmaker. Wait, how old is that guy? I've been thinking about a new hat design, see? So I was just gazing absent-mindedly around. But then, as I happened to look down through the skylight, it was sinking right out from his belly. That huge, great knife.
A grim sight indeed.
Didn't help me at all. Oh, wow. Yeah. The jury looked like they're even more convinced my client did it than they were before. That appears to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. If only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions.
Mr. First,
Oh, yes, sir.
is this knife? Is this the knife you saw?
Oh, good grief. Yes, that's it. The very one, sir. Is that?
Yes, counsel. This is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly like a stake through the heart. Is that a blade of considerable size? That is a blade of considerable size, counsel.
It is. Furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar. He's no... M. A Magnus, perhaps? Or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick. It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake.
Objection!
Objection! But there are M's everywhere. Like, yes! Like in Mason!
Objection!
Objection! Objection! This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused. Ugh.
Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, Counsel.
Oh, my lord, if you'll forgive the interruption.
I kind of want to give a, like, creepy, slightly gothy voice, but I can't be asked to try. Female voices are hard enough as is.
Mr. McGilded is a pillar of society and a gentleman. A gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Wait, what are you about to do? Dispose of the rubbish? Dispose of the rubbish? No! I don't wish to cause offence, but I do like to eradicate all the traces of filth and grime. Hold it! I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion. Not again! That's 4 out of 6 jury members who've proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left. We've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse.
Okay, we were meant to do this, just for tutorial sake, I guess.
Nevertheless, we need more than anything at the moment. Some more information. We're still very much in the dark.
Suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly.
We mustn't give up hope that we'll uncover something that will give a way to fight back.
But... Right, I'll keep trying. I can't give up. Just need to keep calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again.
Oh, as soon as I heard them scream, I stopped me bus, and then I saw it too.
Hold it!
Hold it! What exactly did you see?
Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was.
By the passenger, obviously you're referring to the victim, Mr. Mason the brickmaker.
And then the other passenger had that knife in his hand, like this.
By the other passenger, obviously you're referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded.
And then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly.
Not possible. He said, in his statement originally, that he turned around after he heard the noise. He wasn't stabbed twice, only once. As is stated, stabbed once, boom.
Stabbing the other passenger in the belly.
What? This was the northern one. Wait, no, he was like drinker. So that means, yeah, he's obviously not.
My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5. I take it that you, too, as the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's
He said he's from London. Oh, don't make me do more London voices. They're just going to become monotonous.
The idea that being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. I wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse has been bolted, as they say. The horse is bolted, as they say.
No, keep in mind.
Gee up now, Silver Blaze, the finish is in sight.
Just the old lady now.
Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir.
This is too unkind, sir. Which now means that 5 jurors agreed to condemn this man.
Madam Juror number 6.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a whole thing, isn't it? Like, you speak directly to the jury.
Yes, dear, what can I do for you? You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand. Oh, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know. Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning? Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench.
Oh, why am I not giving her normal old lady voice that I did?
I always go to the park around this time of day and sit on a nice bench to get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. The Gilded Park it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know. With a smile on the Londoner's faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life. He is always doing wonderful things for the city. That's right, a man like that wouldn't stab someone, surely. How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do people not know? He only does it so he doesn't have to pay tax. What kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of man is he? The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. Where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls.
Is it wrong that I don't know what the Shylock is?
What? Stone the crows! Gilded lends money at extortionate rates of interest to his victims, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak. I've never heard any mention of that before. Your factories haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? You're not saying that the victim, the poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name to save considerable financial liability?
Oh, wow. So now he's in debt to my fucking client as well.
As it will come to no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts.
Maybe he killed himself to escape it? A lot of people... Well, a lot of suicides happen because of debt, so...
Good gracious! The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, the pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded.
Don't believe it. Hold it. Hold it. If I might add something briefly. Susato. You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where is the evidence to support your claim?
Hoggers.
Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in a court of law. Aha! There it is! Lord Van Zyke's hallowed chalice! It's be considered acceptable. But I find myself in unexpectedly good humour. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage. I didn't expect to experience it myself.
Ah! As judicial assistant to the defense, I am simply doing my job.
It's a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused, as you will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside.
Oh,
Allow me to present this ledger as evidence,
Well, we got a piece of evidence out of you, so...
and pray forgive that the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time. Marvelous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence. Ah, yes. 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum.
the accused make quite certain he had ample recompense.
Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
Regrettably, madam, that is the modus operandi of the accused.
And it's such a pretty little part, too. What a scoundrel. Still, maybe it's all for the best.
Ah, wait a minute. Let's think about this a little more before...
I don't stand for nonsense.
What a British thing to say, holy fuck.
I don't stand for nonsense.
That was it. The last juror's decision. Ah, according to this encyclopedia of British law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. Ah, the final verdict. It's over then. Oh! There's a footnote though. Footnote? However, the defense...
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case.
Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections.
Yes, of course there's an objection. Susato, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes? You're in the middle of saying something before. A footnote in your encyclopedia of British law. However, the defense, what did it say next? Oh, yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, providing... Shut up! Get to the point. And the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. Summation examination?
Objection!
Objection! A summation examination. From which century has that tome there... from which century has that tome you have there been resurrected? Ah! Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck. Oh!
He lifts the armband.
What even is it, Miss Susato? This so-called summation examination? Oh, one moment, and I'll read about it. You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails. Typical Nipponese. All right, Mr. Naruhodo, I think I understand. It seems that under this procedure, you would be able to appeal to the members of the jury. Do what exactly? Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decisions. And it says here that, if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed. reverse their decisions.
Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. That procedure came something of a formality, with no practical benefit, really, so it rather fell out of use.
I wonder why.
As it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age.
Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? A summation examination, our last possible option. Do we assert our right to try and carry it out, or admit defeat?
I'm not picking the wrong option this time.
The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
Objection! London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
Objection! But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial.
The defense's position is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination. I'm so old that they feel like they were only yesterday that it was normal happenstance in the trial. This is madness. Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? Hey! Well, I'm not. There was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so... Members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision. On what grounds? On what grounds? You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty. Well, me lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
This is most irregular. No mention of this was made before.
I don't really hold all this justifying lark. It seems to have thrown the jurors off.
It seems more of them have experienced. It seems none of them have experienced this before.
Right then, the summation examination. Defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted in for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around.
So be it then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of this most serious crime. There was no one inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him.
I trust the driver. He has excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers, with fares totaling 20 pence.
He stopped the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen.
I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We ain't raised prices above 4p for years.
The scoundrel! That poor man on the floor! It beggars belief.
Starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now.
Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they?
Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 jurors, these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language.
Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. According to my book, that's not quite how it works.
Oh, I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant.
Fortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, reach their conclusion by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what on earth am I supposed to do? There, I'm reciting what I've read about British law, Mr. Naruhodo. Right, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work, then? Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your arguments. What do you mean? Well, 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a unified front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together. That's the way to break them down, you mean? Yes, exactly. We must listen very carefully to each member of the jury, what the jury says, to see if we can identify any contradictory statements. If we can, then we contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. See, so it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination. Oh, yes, I suppose you're right. Find contradictions in their statements and pit the jurors against one another to break them down. All right, I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. I have to pull this off.
Can we start proceedings, Counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal.
Oh, I get to stand at the front.
Yes, me lord.
Oh, this is cool. This is really cool. The defence's rebuttal.
There was no one in the carriage at the time, so it had to be him.
I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers, with fares totaling 20 pence.
He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen.
I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
You can trust the guild. Their fares is our motto. We ain't raised prices for above 4 pence for years.
The scoundrel stabbed the poor man on the floor. It beggars belief.
That's just false. This is one part of the soundtrack that I've listened to so much before the game came out. I should press everything.
There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it had to have been it.
Hold it!
Hold it!
Certainly, the testimonies we've heard suggest the victim and Mr. McGilded were alone inside the carriage.
Precisely my point.
But could there be some other explanation? Something we haven't considered yet?
Such as?
Well, perhaps that's something we could, all work out together now.
Now listen here. Maybe you don't know how things work around here because you're from foreign climes. But we've formed here, but we're here to form our opinions as individuals. And I have.
Oh dear, he doesn't appear to be in the mood to consider an alternative point of view, does he? No, I'm going to have to pit the jurors against one another, like Susato-san said. Finding contradictions in these 6 people's assertions is the only way I'm going to succeed.
Oh man, this is such like an interesting like switch up of the formula. I love it. Pit, R to pit. So it's gonna be naive dude and lovely old lady, right?
I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence.
Hold it!
Hold it! But does his ability to recall his takings that night really tell us how trustworthy the man is? I manage all his lordship's catch affairs, so I'm very particular when it comes to accounts. I see. A single penny can mean the difference between life and death, after all, can't it? That's a saying in your country. My point is, a man who finds his figures is a man you can trust. Those of us in service would swear to that, sir. Does that bench really need any more polishing? So if the good driver says he saw Mr. McGilded in the act, I can't doubt him. The only task left to do today is the disposing of the rubbish. Ah, now wait a minute. The other jurors mentioned something about money, I think.
Oh, there were fucking 5 passengers. Oh my god, I didn't even notice that. I thought it was going to be the fact that she said on the floor, stabbed him like that, and he said stabbed him like that in the chair.
Now would be a very good time to listen carefully to the jurors' statements again, Mr. Naruhodo. If you notice an inconsistency in what 2 different jurors are saying, I should expose it by pitting them against one another. So let's see if I can do just that.
I want to see what all the others say though.
He stuck the knife in the chap just next to him like this. Brazen, I must say, absolutely brazen.
Hold it!
Hold it! Careful! You could hurt someone with that.
You'll want to talk. What of that sword hanging from your waist, hmm?
No, that's just my battered sword.
But anyway, I despise anyone with too much money. They're all the same. Or stabbing some brickmaker or other behind the scenes. You mark my words.
Objection!
Objection! That seems very unlikely, doesn't it? Are you mad, man? We all know that small shorty is a rotten Charlotte.
Well, yes, that does seem to be the case, but... Mr. Naruhodo, please be careful what you say.
He's been trying to squeeze money out of us less fortunate, and as far as I'm concerned, he's as guilty as sin. The man can hang.
Come to think of it, didn't one of the other jurors have something to say about the defendant's underhanded activities? If you've thought of something, Mr. Naruhodo, don't let it go. Test your theory. Pit the 2 jurors against whose statements seem to be contradictory against each other.
Oh, so is it always going to be like 3 pairs of 3, or maybe 2 pairs of 3 pairs of 3, 3 pairs of 2? Maybe it'll be 2 pairs of 2, or 3 pairs of 2.
No time like the present to use art to pit them against each other. I'll never get anywhere otherwise. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
Hold it!
Hold it! Have you been doing... What have you been doing all this time? What have you been doing all this time? There. I should have thought it was obvious. I'm recording everything that takes place as part of these proceedings. And what have you learnt from that? For example, at this moment in time, the judge has used his gavel 11 times in total.
Wow. Oh. Imagine if somebody had actually counted that while playing. I mean, nobody would, right?
The prosecution has snorted derisively at your remarks 7 times in total.
Wait, does this change depending on how many... Oh, I had to press every sentence in that, in the regular cross-examination, didn't I? I think there was a contradiction in the original cross-examination, though. Because the driver said that he looked behind him after the noise, but he said that he saw the stabbing, and he was only stabbed once.
And, I might add, each time you have gawped like a simpleton.
Thank you.
What's the point exactly? So anyway, madam, Are you able to explain why you think the defendant is guilty? That is a conclusion I have drawn as a result of the copious notes I've typed. Clearly, but I'm asking you to explain why you've drawn that conclusion. Please don't distract me. It makes it extremely hard to concentrate on my note-keeping.
So this is the difficult to get anything out of you, juror.
This is going nowhere.
You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We ain't raised prices above 4p for years.
Hold it!
That's how much it costs to take the omnibus.
That's right. As the guildmaster, I decided to set a policy for all drivers across the city. On fare, no matter which bus you take or how far you're going. We have to compete with the rise of the motor car, you see. Us coachmen have to make a stand together.
Motor cars, you say?
Yes, and this murder on one of our buses is extremely damaging to our cause. It's beyond the pale. It will lead to a decline in passengers, you mark my words. It's all that rascal's fault, he has to pay.
Is it the crime or is his buses he's more worried about?
Anyway, every member of my guild is reliable and trustworthy. So if the driver says he saw him do it, that fellow in the dock is as guilty as sin.
This scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief.
You're my favourite juror just because you're a lovely old lady. You can't not like this juror.
I really think you should stop waving that needle around.
Don't be rude.
You heard what the good coachman said before, didn't you?
I think it's funny how everyone trusts the coachman more than the banker and the what even is the other dude? Milliner.
That hideous man stabbed a poor fellow, just like this.
Yes, that's what he said. You're right.
The Gilded Park is such a lovely little place too. I've always enjoyed resting my legs there when I get on with my knitting. And I have thought that anyone who donated such a delightful place must be a fine fellow indeed. Suppose I was wrong. Whoever would have thought that it was a miserable murdering moneylender with not a scrap of remorse?
Oh, help. She's as sure as sure can be that he's guilty now.
The old lady certainly seems to know her mind, doesn't she?
So, we just need to find two... Is Usato pretending to be my thoughts?
So, we just need to find two jurors with contradictory statements and pit them against each other. Which is so much easier said than done. Is that perhaps what you were just thinking?
How did you know?
Well, I took the liberty of doing some research, in case you happen to find yourself in such a situation. Shall I read you what you found out? It's a little long, I'm afraid.
No, I don't want a hint.
If I have to rely on advice right from the start, how will I get on later? No, I need to work this out for myself now. Is that perhaps what you were just thinking?
How did you know?
Well, that sort of attitude is most admirable, Mr. Naruhodo.
I know what I have to do. Let's listen to those assertions one more time.
There was no one else inside the carriage at that time, so it has to be him.
I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers, with fares totaling 20 pence.
He's stopping the chap next to him like this. Brazen, I must say, absolutely brazen.
I've gotten used to these juror voices now.
I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We ain't raised prices above 4p for years.
This scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor, it beggars belief.
You can trust the guild.
Objection!
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
They do. Explain yourself, Counsel.
Me? Oh dear, what have I said?
I swear on Silver Blaze's mane and name, I haven't the first idea what you're talking about.
According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right. I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And juror number 5 also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence.
That is it. A fair and convenient single price. Just the way London's carriages should be operated.
But that does not add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts.
Why, man? Why?
4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication... Ah! It would be 16 pence. Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. All this old money stuff, right? Like the old sterling money or whatever. Am I going to have to look up like crowns and shit? Because... Or maybe the game is intentionally making it so that... To be honest, the game is probably intentionally saying 4 pence in this. Also, I want to look this up actually, because a shilling is...
Old English money.
Pound sterling Wikipedia. Values of coins, please. Oh, I'll look this up later.
Exactly! As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence in fact. Or precisely 1 person's fare.
1 person's fare?
Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible that there was another passenger we have heard nothing about.
Good gracious! This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword.
The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy.
I beg your pardon.
Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he let nefarious characters ride his omnibus.
Yeah. All right then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end,
Well, according to my book here,
Now I'm giving an American accent.
you simply launch a ball of fire to the innocent side of the set of scales.
Now hold your horses there, coachman. You're all in agreement. Why'd you have to go and... Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo.
Poggers.
Ah, so this is all very irritating.
Begging your pardon, sir, I'm going to do the same.
For the love of Mike, not you as well.
A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters.
Oh, really?
I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. You did it. We can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds. We can force the trial to continue. 2 more, actually. There is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions. That's where you must strike next. So I need to pit 2 more jurors against each other and show there's a contradiction in their assertions. Exactly. You can do it.
Well, scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination.
Oh, this is great. This is going to be the same, right? Hold it!
Certainly the testimonies we've heard, but could there be some other explanation? I'm changing my leaning to innocent. I'd like to hear what the splendid...
Oh, I can't even press it. Oh, that's fair enough.
I'm changing my leaning to innocent. I should like to hear what the slippered bookkeeper has to say for himself. He stuck the chap next to him like this. Brazen, I must say, absolutely brazen. I have simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion.
Hello, this trial has to continue so I can get to the bottom of this corruption. Not guilty, I say.
Objection! Those 2 statements are completely contradictory.
What? Explain, counsel, post haste.
Oh, dearie me. I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What is all this claptrap? What does this contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3...
What? Well, can't you say that I'm busy here?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it?
Ha! Want to test me, do you? It was like this. Stuck the fella next to him without even getting up. Just like the prim banker said. Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony. Quite true.
Now then, juror number 6.
Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam?
Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, it was like this. He stabbed a poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so.
Now don't move. Take a look at these 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he'd collapsed on the floor.
Well, I'd never. They're stabbing in totally different directions.
What?
Bless my stitches, what a muddle.
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility that one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
Oh!
But why? Why the dickens would they lie?
That wasn't right. What was his voice again?
Ha! Want to test me, do you? Don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen? All in good conscience?
Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide by people telling lies.
Oh, I love this old lady. She's so cute. Oh.
The scales! I don't believe it.
Little old lady. She's just so out of place in the jury in a way, but it's just perfect. Very British.
Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all.
You're wearing a black suit as well, mate. If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this?
Answer me this, Dark Jinx.
Huh? Me?
What exactly is the problem? What of it if two witnesses have slightly different recollections of events?
What of it?
Let's say that Shylock did stab the victim if he was sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and the Shylock stabbed him again. This old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that?
Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you.
Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you.
Ugh, they're ready to kill each other now. Good job I can answer his question. But could the foreman of the jury be right? The two witnesses, he see two different moments of the same crime. Juror number 1, I hope he's not. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman.
What is it, Dark Jinx? Come on, out with it.
What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question.
What are you talking about, man? How can you possibly say that? Do you realise I'm only doing my job? As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me some proof.
It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him with something he can't dismiss. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish.
What?
I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime, as proven by... Take that! I'm telling you, it sounds northern when he says take that. Take that! This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen only once.
Eh? Only once?
It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means the witnesses couldn't possibly have seen it happen at two different times.
Alright, I concede defeat.
Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won.
What are you playing at, you dandy fool?
Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me.
But we just had a consensus.
I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And if the chap ever dares cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. Please tell me he's a barber.
Well, I'm in quite a remarkable turn of events. The defence's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate, and the trial must continue.
I think I'm going to end this stream there, I think. I'm going to go to the little end of this celebration bit, but I want to hear Barak von Zyk's comments here. Van Zyk's, not von Zyk's.
I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witnesses to return to their places, and I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth.
That was brilliant. That was a brilliant scene. Holy shit. I mean, obviously, of course, extra effort is always going to be put into the first one of those, right? Just in terms of how it's written. But if the other ones of those are just even half of as good, I will be so happy.
So, Lord Van Zykes, please continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, please.
The Nipponese. Having savoured the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice. Wait. Don't you only have one chalice? Is that hallowed and important, mate? May seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Well, you can enjoy your wet, sticky desk for the rest of the day, sir.
Lord Van Zykes!
It is cold in here. Is it cold in here, or is it just me?
As your antiquated tone no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honoured a deathly silence and listened to the charade. It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No, why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle. I'm going to leave it there. That's a nice line to end it on. Wow, this is such a good trial. Holy crap. Keep zooming in. Wait, how long is it going to zoom in for? Oh, okay, to there. Oh man, that was fantastic. Oh. Yeah, that was just fantastic. I love it. So I'm going to save there. I'm gonna listen to this for a minute. Like that.